Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Amanda. I like to share videos of us on our homestead and all the little projects we do and just kind of take you along with me for our daily life. If you're not new here, welcome back. It's good to be making some more videos. In this video, I'm just kind of giving you a little update on the chickens, and we canned some chicken broth, and I'm just going to voice over that video because it's so busy in my house. You would never hear anything I was saying. You would just hear background noise all the time, and I don't want to annoy anybody with that. So I think voiceover is the best option for videos like that that kind of involve a little bit more explanations and stuff. So we did a little project here, got that done. Goats are doing well. Got them all squared away. We just went and got a huge load of hay for the next couple weeks. That should get us through. And then we've just been experiencing some amazing weather. It's been in the upper 40s and 50s in February. That's not North Dakota weather, so we've been taking it in and enjoying it. So I'm gonna go inside. I'm chilly now. It's starting to cool off, but I hope you guys enjoy the video, and we'll see you guys next time. All right, we're canning some chicken broth today. So in my Presto pressure canner, I have about 2 inches of water, and I'm just throwing in some vinegar. I like to put this in there because it helps keep my jars not cloudy. So I'm just gonna check my seals and make sure that they're not rotted, make sure that they're not cracked. Everything is looking good. Just want to double check that. You know, it's sat for a while, so I figured it wouldn't hurt to check. And then this is my, it pops up and seals. And I just want to make sure that that mechanism is working properly. And that's my vent hole. You want to make sure you can see daylight through that hole so it's not clogged. And then it looks like it's good to go. So now all I'm doing is using a fine mesh strainer and a cheesecloth or a tea towel, and I'm just straining through all my broth. It doesn't get 100% of the stuff out of the broth, but it at least gets the larger chunks out so that it looks a little bit nicer on the shelf. This is totally optional. You don't have to if you don't want to. Now we're going to start adding the broth to the jars, and I did not film this, but for the quarts, I like to put in about a teaspoon of the Redmond real salt. Not a lot, just a little bit. And then these jars have been cleaned. They were in hot soapy water, and I rinsed them off with really hot water to keep the jars hot. You want to keep the jars the same temperature as whatever you're putting in it is. So it doesn't have to be the exact same temperature, but just making sure it's nice and warm will help the jars from cracking on you. Because if you put this hot boiling liquid into a cold jar, it'll be more likely to crack the jars and break them. So now we're just filling it to a 1-inch head space, and then after that we are going to get our lids on. Once I have everything in the jars, I'm just going around the rims with a tiny bit of white vinegar on a piece of paper towel, and we're just cleaning it off, make sure there's no fats or anything where the lid actually seals onto the jar. And then I had my lids and rings ready to go. Some people soak their lids in warm water. I don't. I just make sure that they're clean and everything looks good. I take them straight out of the box. I stick them in the rings. The rings are clean. I do wash the rings with the jars just because. And then I go ahead and fingertip tighten these. You don't want to put any wrist into it. I mean, none at all. Otherwise, you can have siphoning and you can have lids buckling, and it's just not fun. I've done it all. So now we're going to get these into the canner. Once I place them into the canner, I want to make sure that they're not touching on the sides or touching each other. So my canner, I'm not exactly sure what size it is. I got this from my sweet cousin. Shout out. Thank you, Lisa. I love this canner so much. I do love my All-American, but I also love this canner too because it's so lightweight. The All-American is very heavy compared to this one. And this one fits 7 quarts beautifully. It's just super. Right now, 2, 4, yeah, I only did 6 on this batch, but you can fit 7 in very well. So now I'm going to line up my arrows. There's an arrow on the lid, and there's also an arrow on the handle. I just pointed at that one. If you line those up, and now I think I struggle when I recorded this. Yeah. Of course, I make it look harder than it really is. It's really not that difficult. It's just having a bad blonde moment that night. But I stick that on there, and then now I'm going to crank up the heat. I had already had the heat on low just to get the water, or excuse me, medium, to get the water getting warm in there. Because you want warm jars to go into a warm canner. So now my seal has popped and it's venting. It's kind of hard to see in this video, but there's a solid shoot of steam coming out the top. And I let that vent for 10 minutes, and then I threw my weight on. And once your weight is rocking like this, you start your timer. So I'm starting my timer to can, I believe it's 25 minutes for quarts and 20 minutes for pints. And I just let that go. I do turn down my heat eventually. Okay, I actually turned it down now. You only want it to rock about 4 times per minute. Okay, 25 minutes is up. I put it all the way down to medium and it's still rocking pretty steady. I'm gonna shut it off here. And now I'm gonna wait for this to stop rocking and wait for this to fall down. Once the seal has fallen down, then you can safely remove that. And then I like to let it sit for at least an hour before I open it up. This sat for quite some time before I opened it up, so everything was pretty cool. It sat for a few hours anyway. And then you take it off the same way you put it on. I kind of struggled with it with one hand trying to record. But then you can just take everything out carefully and let it sit on the counter for about 24 hours before you remove the rings. And when I store my jars, I like to remove the rings. If you store your food with jars on, oftentimes you can get a false seal. I take that back. Not oftentimes. Sometimes you can get a false seal and you can have food spoilage and not know it. And that kind of helps mitigate that by taking them off and storing them that way. All right. We got the run all cleaned up and threw in a bunch of old hay that we're kind of using like straw. Their coop's all cleaned out. And now we're working on trying to get the wood placed back up so we can get a cover over this. It's actually like 50 degrees right now in the middle of February. So this is very uncharacteristic of North Dakota. So we're using this opportunity to do a little run work. And then they're talking more snow mid this next week. So we're kind of trying to throw the tarp over this. At least we have a tarp that would actually cover both sides. And I think we're going to cover both sides when it's bad weather. But when it's nice, we can roll up one side and just secure it along the top there so that they can get some fresh air in there. But when snow and bad weather comes, almost all the sides will be covered so they can still have the space to get out that's dry and nice for them. All right, we got the run covered. I got their water hung up. It's all secured down. Their inside of their coop is ready to go. Excuse me, buddy. May I sneak by you, please? Thank you. All right, we got the run all covered. We rolled up the excess and just zip tied it for now. And then when bad weather comes or it's gonna rain, we'll just snip the 2 zip ties, roll it all down. There's some boards we can throw on it to try and keep it tight against the bottom of the run. And then we'll use some bricks and other things to help keep it down. That way they at least can have, you know, a few sides of the coop covered during icky weather. We secured this side because it doesn't reach all the way with some nylon rope. That's the little drain. So hopefully it'll run off and just drain to this corner, which is fine. It's already wet there. Yeah, so we got that project all done today. Their run's all ready for if we get some yucky weather this next week. But I'm pretty happy with everything that's got done this weekend. It's been a really good weekend.